Here we go. You're gonna see we're streaming live. Hit Facebook Live. YouTube. Hey, you're just came up on your phone, John. That we're live on YouTube.
Oh, they send notifications.
Start live. We're live on YouTube. We're gonna be live on Instagram, and we're gonna be live on Facebook all at once.
Wow.
We're moving up in this world.
Yeah,
Here we go. David Evans jumped on. Ryan Petzold. We've had people here since 4:51 today.
Chad Rockman.
Chad Rockman was on at 4:51. He was the first one on.
And Susan from Animals Are
And Susan in Canada was on at 5:04. Already on chatting. Kind of cool. We got a big old long chat line. We're live now. If any of you don't know, like for the first couple hours, I'm setting up the show, getting it ready. So I'm the one that's actually typing on the keyboard, answering your questions and stuff, and interacting with people until I hit that live button. Once I hit that live button, then John or the co-host tonight, which would be Lisa, would be on that board tonight. So right now we got John on the keyboard in the back. He's we just got done painting today, and we're in here getting our live show all started. So we're on live on, we got Instagram right here, we got Facebook right there, and we got YouTube. So
yep, YouTube.
We're gonna get going. We got people, check it out. People are jumping on. Give them a few minutes. Peter Volk, Paint Tech Academy. Paint Tech Academy says hi, John.
Hey, what's up?
Yep.
All the way from the UK, we got the Paint Tech Academy.
Yep.
They got a Facebook page. You got to check them out. They teach people how to paint, and
They do. You
we're
might be working with them.
we might be going over to
Yeah.
to visit them and work with the the National Painting and Decorating Show over in London, I believe.
Very
We got
exciting.
Mitchell from New York, from Buffalo, New York. James Plano from Shoals. Kenny Sanders, Christopher Delgado, upstate New York from RJM Painting. We got a bunch of people jumping on. Tumbleweeds on.
You advertised what we're talking about tonight, but what are we talking about tonight?
Tonight's topic is going to be primers. We're going to be talking about just primers. What should you use them? What ones should you use? So it should be a really good topic, because I think there's a lot of misinformation on primers out there and stuff. And I think a lot of the paint stores, do-it-yourself hardware stores, big box stores give out a lot of misinformation. So I'm going to be going over primers. We're going to be talking about it. John's going to jump in and give some of his advice on.
Like if you believe in primers, are they needed? Do you use them? What are they?
We'll ask John whether he primes the exteriors and stuff. We got a lot of people.
It's a good topic.
Lance's wall art, he was on pretty early today. Thank you guys. Thank you for all the people that are jumping on early, starting the chat and answering questions with each other. It's kind of cool.
Kind of fun.
So all about primers. I got a couple things. A couple of people, I think these are t-shirts. So I want to open them up.
He hasn't been working out lately.
Yeah. So I think this package came from Stonehenge Way. So check. It feels like a t-shirt. So it's pretty good. People send me t-shirts and stuff. It's really, really cool. So I'm gonna check it out.
There's a letter or card.
Whoa, card. Wow, they're a fire district. Oh, that's right. There we go.
Nice.
And
check that out.
Look at the paint card. Look at his paint card.
That's sick. That is
Okay.
That's cool. I like that. That's his business card. It looks like
Giovanni. Wow, Italian painter.
So
Yay.
Giovanni Sciana, I think. So check that out. He sent me a fire and rescue shirt. That is so, and
It's
that
on the show right now.
Yeah, and that's
thank you so much.
You know what's really cool too is it's a really high quality shirt too. That is not a cheap t-shirt. So those firemen know how to buy nice shirts. But
So
I love
I like his. It's
his
a really
business card. For any painters out there, check this out. This is absolutely amazing.
And you could change the colors with what's in style. And grays are definitely in style
it's got
right
his
now.
email address, phone number on it. I love it.
And tell us about his company. Reliable.
Killer. He's got a letter. Thank you very much.
Experience.
Thank you so much for sending that shirt.
We'll read this. Thank you.
We got one more. Oh, whoa.
Oh,
Here's
this is another.
So his wife designed the card.
Great
your
job.
wife did a great job.
Paint Tech Academy.
Oh, Paint Tech Academy.
Yay.
There we go. Oh, now this is.
Um,
Now check this out. This is.
That's so cool.
So Paint Tech Academy,
Paint Tech Academy.
They have a Facebook page, and I absolutely love their logo. So check this out. That is cool. Spraying makes sense. So it's super cool logo. Thank you very much, Paint Tech.
Yay.
Check that out.
They sent us some different
They
shirts.
sent us cool.
Thank you. You're with us, and you sent us shirts.
Yep, they got them out.
Yay,
There's
thank you,
one
Tracy.
got one for John. Cool. There we go. Sweet.
Yay.
I love it.
Very
That's awesome.
fun.
Those are really nice shirts too. So kind of cool.
So we're gonna hit a little milestone that we want to celebrate and give something away.
Yeah.
Where are we hitting the milestone?
So
on
on
one of these ones we're talking to tonight.
Yeah, on Instagram, I got live Instagram feed right here.
Yes.
Got a Facebook feed right there, but live Instagram, we're about 1,000 followers short of 10,000. So as soon as I hit 10,000,
What are you giving away?
subscribe. That's not it. Where'd it
That's
go?
not it. I gave you one. Oh, this is hiding. Where is it? I brought it in here.
Well, that's not it.
Oh, did I give it to you?
Well, you handed it to me for a minute.
I
Here it
did.
is, right here.
Oh,
So
here
check
it
it out.
is.
We're going to be giving away a Titan RX Pro gun. This is a pretty killer gun. They came out with them brand new. They had just a couple little tweaks they had to do on the triggers. You know, we broke the trigger on ours really fast. They remodified it, made it a lot more durable, stronger. Really good gun. We use these guns, but we got a Titan RX Pro gun. We're going to be giving it away on Instagram. We're going to be doing a giveaway. So if you don't follow it, you have to be a follower on Instagram to win that gun. So if you don't follow us on Instagram, follow me. It's Idaho Painters on Instagram. And we're also on Facebook, The Idaho Painters. You got to follow me on Facebook. There's Facebook right there. There's Instagram right there.
Don't know where to look.
So, and there's YouTube right there.
Deer and headlights. Are we doing any
Yeah.
giveaways tonight?
Tonight we're going to be giving away a $50 Sherwin-Williams gift card. Thank you very much, Sherwin-Williams, for providing that. We're going to be giving away 2 more Titan tips. I'm going to be giving away one of the regular tips and their high efficiency tips right here. One of those. We'll give that away to a winner.
And if somebody doesn't know about why you have different tips, you have a video.
I do. So I got
Talking about tip size.
I got all about airless spray tips. So if you don't know what tips to use and when to use them, I have a video I just did. I think within a month ago,
not too long ago.
and it's a very popular video. It's getting a lot of views. We're gonna give away another one of these AOM stud finders tonight. So we gave away one last week, so check it out. It's a stud. It's a multimedia, multifunction detector, so it finds more than just studs, other stuff in the wall. Comes in this really nice box. So thanks for AOM for providing that. We're gonna give away that, and then the other thing I was gonna give away. You're gonna give away to one person for these corner rollers. These things are kind of cool. So I got a huge case of them in the mail to give away. So look at this. It's not your ordinary roller. So here's where your 9-inch roller goes in right there, but then the other end is completely covered. So guess what? You can roll in the corners of your walls and your ceilings and not have to break out your paintbrush. So really cool. So I'm gonna give those away to one person, and then there's gonna be one last giveaway.
Oh no, we have.
Because McKenna, our helper, McKenna, my daughter, she's going back to college, and
She does all the mailing for me.
and so
I'm gonna miss her.
I'm gonna put her to work one last time before she leaves. So we're
my.
gonna give away a Paint Life shirt too tonight. So
Yes, we are.
So we need to give away something pretty quick here,
Yeah,
John. So you
but-
can figure out.
Working on
John, John's working on giving away something here pretty quick.
So tonight, for people that are just joining us, what are we talking
we're
about?
gonna be talking
tonight?
about all about primers.
All about
And,
primers.
So I want to talk about
What is a primer? May I
primers.
ask?
Well, I want to get to the point why I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about primers, and I have some experience with this because fortunately I actually worked in Home Depot in the paint department for 2 years. And so when I started working at Home Depot, I went through their training program, paint training program, and sales, how to sell to people. And it was kind of interesting because the people that were working with me in the paint department had no knowledge of paint whatsoever. And we were all hired. We were thrown on the floor after, I think it was 1 to 2 days of being trained to be paint experts. And the number one thing they told us to do is we need to upsell. And what is upselling? And this is something that in all your big box stores and your paint stores, and for instance, the paint store we buy paint from right now, almost everybody in there none of them have actually have been actual painters in their life, and they're kind of trained to just upsell, and they don't have a lot of experience using the products and stuff. And upselling is, when somebody comes in to buy some interior paint, you're taught to just sell them a primer along with their paint because you're going to make more money for the store you're working in. And they don't know why they're selling you the primer, and do you really need a primer? And but they're just told to upsell. And I know where I worked at Home Depot, I didn't get a commission or anything like that, but I was just told to upsell, because that was just part of my job description and stuff. So and like I said, I was a paint expert after about an 8-hour class. So you got to realize who you're dealing with and stuff. So you have to be really careful with going into these stores when you're buying paint, and they're going to always tell you need a primer. And I would tell you probably 70 to 80% of the time that they're telling you you're going to need a primer, you really don't need a primer. And so
there are those times when you need primers. So that's why we have the show tonight to talk about.
Yep. So primers. I'm gonna have to refer to my notes too, because a primer. A primer is an undercoat, and you're putting on an undercoat on a surface to prepare it to be painted. So that's basically what a primer is. It's kind of preparing a paint, because a paint is not necessarily going to be the proper product to put over your substrate at the time. And so I'll just read you, what is a definition of primer. A primer is an undercoat. An undercoat is a preparatory coating to put on materials before painting. Priming ensures better adhesion of paint of the surface, increases durability, and provides additional protection for material being painted. That's kind of the definition of a primer. But so when do you need to prime, and when don't you need to prime, and what primer should you use? There's so many different primers out there. And
let's just kind of start going through. I'll ask you some questions, and you could just start answering. So when is it used, and is primer needed? And you said there are times when it's needed. So
there definitely are times when you need a primer, and I'll tell you, we kind of have these things. Is it bare wood? Is it brand new drywall? Is it cracking or peeling? Is it super high glossy or shiny, or does it have some type of contaminant on the surface? So there's kind of some criteria to give you right there to determine whether you need to use a primer or not. And it's not very complicated. And I'll start off with one of them I just brought up. And is it super shiny or high glossy? So if I'm painting on the inside of a house, and for instance, years and years ago in older homes, they used to use high gloss paints, like semi gloss paints, or even high gloss paints and oil-based paints. And when you got a super shiny surface, which means it's going to be high in acrylic if it's a latex paint, or oil-based paints, it's going to be extremely durable and very, very hard. In today's paints that are not self-priming paints, they're not going to bite very well. And what's going to happen, you can paint over a high gloss surface, say a typical wall paint, and it's going to you'll be able to grab it and just peel it off in a sheet. So if you got a super shiny surface, if it's got an oil-based paint, it's high gloss, semi-gloss, you could probably get away with not using a primer. But if it's high gloss, oil-based, or like a varnish or something like that, or polyurethane, you're going to want to prime. And that's kind of one scenario. So I'm looking at the surface. Is it super shiny and high glossy? And if it is, your paint is not going to just bond and grab and bite very well. So you're probably going to want a primer. And so what does a primer do in that situation? What a primer does is, unlike a paint, a primer will etch into the surface and bite into the surface, and it'll give you a really good grab, and then the paint could grabs to your primer really well, and so you got a really, really good combination, primer and top coat. So you're smiling, you're looking at the feed going on.
Yep.
So our YouTube, I think live is
that YouTube?
Instagram. No, that's Instagram.
Oh, that's
on
Hi.
Facebook. So we got them
Facebook.
live going on
We got
both
everywhere.
ways. Yeah.
Everywhere we're going. So we know not every surface needs to be primed. So, but some things do need to be primed. So interior walls is, when do interior walls need to be primed besides the gloss?
So here's one good scenario. In interior walls in new construction, people ask me in new construction, do you need to prime the walls? In new construction, they start off and they're putting bare drywall or sheetrock on the walls, and sheetrock and bare drywall is very, very porous. And what's going to happen if you just paint your regular wall paint onto bare drywall, it's so porous it absorbs the water out of the paint, and the acrylic absorbs into the drywall extremely fast, and you're going to get really bad flashing, and then typically you may run into some peeling, the paint peeling off really, really easily, because the drywall, if they do any sanding and stuff like that, the surface is going to be very dusty. So you definitely have to prime in that situation, and you have to use a specific primer, and this is very important. It needs to be a PVA primer, a polyvinyl acrylic primer for bare drywall. So that's another case where a primer is very, very important. Now, if the walls have been painted properly and are primed properly, and then they've been painted before, and you've purchased a house and it's 5 years down the road, and it's got paint on the walls, do you need to prime those walls? And if the house is clean, if the walls are in very good shape, and you're going to be painting a fairly similar color, there's absolutely no point to priming. But yet, a majority of times you're going to go into these do-it-yourself box stores, and they're going to tell you need to prime the walls, and you
what
just
if
don't.
it's a deep base color and you're going like a light color? Do you prime for that?
You do. So if my walls are in, for instance, just a very, very light tan, and I want to paint a vibrant red accent wall, or a blue accent wall, or something like that, we call it priming, but we're not priming because we're trying to get a good bond and get our top coat to bond to it. We're priming so our color comes out consistent and proper. So we use what is called a P4 primer, and it's a tinted gray primer, and it's just a flat paint, really. So we just order flat paint that's tinted, the P4 primer color, or P6, roll that wall, and it's kind of a dark gray, and it's a flat surface, and now your ultra deep colors, which have tons and tons of tint in them, they're kind of like really waxy, and they'll kind of just smear and stuff and drag on the wall. Now it gives kind of, the flat paint is kind of a porous surface, and it's got a nice good undercoat to hold out your color, and instead of having to put 5-6 coats on, you're probably gonna get away with one coat.
So before we transition to talking about kinds of primers and then kinds of surfaces, because this is actually a lot of information we can go over, and we may not get to all of it.
We got a winner here. Who is
do we have a winner?
Yep. So we got somebody first time on the show. Her Shenna, Shenna. You're gonna be the winner. We got the Titan tips provided. Pretty cool.
John will tell you you need to email.
These tips are
your address.
$35 tips. So cool. Test them out. If we ever give you any products, make sure you let us know. How they work out.
And if people are just checking in with us, we're gonna do a giveaway on Instagram. What for?
On Instagram, we're 10,000. We're approaching 10,000 subscribers.
Instagram, wherever you are.
Not too far away, but we're going to be giving away.
He keeps losing.
We're going to be giving away the Titan RX Pro Red Series gun.
So if you're not subscribed to Titan,
you have to be a follower of
Instagram. That's how. Once we hit 10,000, so tell your friends, tell your family, and you'll get a chance to win that. And then, is there anything else, like if people want to buy your shirts or hats or anything?
Yeah, you can find, if you're interested in purchasing our shirts and hats, the Paint Life Paintwear, it's our very own copyrighted and trademarked stuff. Me and my sister designed it. We sell it on the IdahoPainter.com. We've got a cafe press store where we sell all of our shirts and hats there, so you can find it on my website, theidahopainter.com.
Can people see behind us? You got another poster.
Oh, look at my poster.
This is our office, but it's turning into a studio, maybe.
So don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you don't. Some
people
people
see behind us?
Don't understand, they don't know how to get notified when we go live. If you subscribe to my channel, and then there's this little bell and on your channel when you subscribe, if you push on that little notification bell every time I go live, it pops up on your phone or your computer, and it sends you an email that I'm live. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, very cool. Anything else that we need to update? If people want to go to buy stuff that you talk about, where can they find?
Oh, also my
products?
giveaway page. Go to my website, theidahopainter.com. I got 2 items I'm giving away on there, and you can only win those by going to my website. And I gave away a Titan 440 sprayer. I gave away a Graco sprayer on there. So and if you go to my website, theidahopainter.com, over on the right hand side it says giveaways. Click on the giveaways, and that's how you can enter to win the stuff on my website.
So I was going to just read this. The benefit of primer is to seal pores in unpainted surfaces such as drywall wood. It covers imperfections such as parts of walls that have been patched or repainted, and to provide a surface for the paint to stick to. So these are some benefits of priming. And then I think we're going to talk about different kinds of primers.
Yeah, we're going to talk about some of the primers that we use, the ones we stock in our vans and stuff like that. John, he drives the big old huge box van and knows every little thing in there. So he'll talk a little bit about what he has in his van, what primers he likes and stuff. But bare wood anytime. And I'll talk about these one coat paints. Not one coat, but paint and primer in one paints.
You like them?
Do not ever fall into believing that there is no such thing as a paint and primer in one. It just simply is not true. So if you're painting a bare wood surface and you go down and purchase one of these paint and primers in ones, that it's going to fail way sooner than if you use an actual primer, because a paint and primer in one, it was really just created because the consumer demanded it. And there was one paint company, I won't say it here, but they were the first ones to create it, and then
everybody followed suit.
And everybody had to follow suit to be competitive, because people believed it. And so
what about you use an exterior product you just tested the other day, and I thought it was self-priming. Is that different?
No, so we just tested out a lifetime warranty coating from one of the paint stores we buy from. I got a video coming up on it. We tested out 2 products from 2 different paint companies, and one of them was self-priming and a one-coat paint. But we know... For us as professional painters, we know absolutely there's no such thing as a paint and primer in one. And when we got situations that need to be primed, we still prime. But the homeowner, for some reason, I mean, the can's sitting out on the ground and it's a paint and primer in one, they're just more confident in it if I have that can versus I'm trying to save a couple dollars and move down to a different grade of paint that's not self-priming. It's customer confidence. It's weird. We understand that we still got to prime, and we understand it's not a better quality paint because of it.
So is self-priming different than paint and primer in one? Or are they just marketing different?
That's the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, don't believe that. Now, if there are what we were testing out, one of the paints was a one coat paint, and then one of them was a multi-coat paint, which is kind of interesting. And is there really any such thing as a one coat paint? That's a good question. I got my video coming out when we tested out this product that was self-priming and a one coat paint. You'll hear what I have to say. You'll hear what John has to say. You got 2 journeyman painters. You got an apprentice painter, and then you got another painter that was a couple of them that have only been working this summer, so they're very, very brand new beginners. So kind of interesting.
So what kind of primers are there on the market? And
oh my gosh, there's so many primers out there, and it's I just saw
there was a super chat, Andrew.
Let's go up here to Andrew. We got a super chat. You got to tell me. So Andrew Slovacek gave us a super chat. I've seen him on here before. Thank you very much, Andrew.
Thank you very much.
Hopefully I said your right and
I know.
name, Andrew.
We're so horrible with names. I don't know why.
Appreciate the super chat very, very much, helping support your live show and and being part of this whole process. So
usually in things that you're bad in, I'm good in, and what I'm bad in, you're good in, but we're both bad in saying names, so we're sorry.
Yeah, I got there's some primers back here we brought in here, a few of them that I'll grab one of them, but ow, my hands hurt. If you guys didn't see, this weekend, you got to go check out my Instagram and check out the bass I caught, my personal record bass I caught.
Yes.
I won't say where I caught it.
No, you're illegal.
I was sworn to secrecy. I wasn't illegal.
Okay, not illegal.
Yeah,
but I
don't
have a
say- you
question.
make me like
John
a criminal or
Deanan
something.
said 2-in-1 shampoo, conditioner is real. You're right. I've tried those and they do not work. Your hair is not soft. I do not like 2-in-1.
Yeah, it's like, I mean,
shampoo
how could it clean your hair
not like it at
and then
all.
condition at the same time? It makes
I don't
no
like
sense.
it. I've used them.
Yeah.
They don't work. don't
Millennium Man says, hi, Chris. Let's see, Kevin Steverson.
Tumbleweed
no
needs
problem.
to get Instagram.
Tumbleweed. If you guys don't have Instagram, you got to get
It's just
Instagram.
fun. It's fun.
It is really fun because you see, I put out 30-second and 1-minute clips on Instagram, these little things teaching you stuff. So we have a pro tip that we do. We try to do a pro tip once a week, a safety tip once a week, and then you just see what the heck we're doing on the job site, and you can see us wakeboarding, us fishing, us doing golfing, whatever.
Who knows,
So-
whatever we do. But I like the interaction. I like that people tag you and you could see the work that they do. And I think so many pictures are artistic and...
There you are.
No. So many pictures are artistic, and so we love to have you tag us and to see what you're doing and what you're up to. I saw somebody's family today, and I thought that was really cool. So
Ryan Petzold says
Join
he follows
us.
us on Instagram. I've seen
Good.
him on Instagram. Yeah, it's a bunch of these names I'm seeing up
Yeah.
here. I see some of you follow me on Instagram, XC Painter.
Pete wants to know if you use shampoo. You kind of do, huh?
I do.
You do. Kind of weird.
I use
Doesn't
shampoo
have
even
hair.
though I don't
know.
have hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and if you follow me on Instagram too, or if you have an Instagram account, don't forget if you got some really cool pictures to tag me in them. That means tagging me in them, we'll put it on my Instagram, and then I can reshare it. So I really like resharing. They're really, really cool
And
pictures. And I do give away t-shirts every now and then to the people that tag me.
So different kinds of primers. Sorry, we got a little off, but we want to talk about primers. I have oil-based, water-based, shellac-based. What are these, and why
Oh my
would we
gosh,
use them?
there's so many different primers, and when should you use an oil-based primer? When should you use a water-based primer? When should you use a shellac-based primer? And it can get really complicated, or it can be really easy if you understand of when to use them. And we'll go over some of that. I got some videos on. I'll talk about just one of them right now. This was an interesting situation. I went into this house to give these people a bid painting a bedroom, and I walked in the bedroom, all 4 walls completely just covered with Sharpie markers. The kid all through high school, their friends drew all over the walls
Sign
with
their
Sharpie
name
markers,
and
signed their name, just this and that,
Yeah.
and they wanted me to paint it, and I was like, that's not going to be an easy situation because the Sharpie markers typically will bleed through your primers and it definitely will bleed through your paint. And if any of you got any tips on painting over Sharpie markers, just leave them in here. Let us know what you used and what worked for you. But I started going through. Angel Guzman just gave us a super chat.
Oh, thank you, Angel.
Angel.
What are you saying, Angel?
Angel.
It's Angel.
Angel is my name. Pretty easy to remember.
Yeah, even though you just
Angle.
were trying to butcher it. Sorry.
Oh
Thank
gosh.
you for being with us.
I'm dyslexic.
And let us know what primers you used and why. But go back to the Sharpie pen.
So
what
the
did you do?
Sharpie pen, I started off because one of our go-to primers that we use a lot for a lot of situations is shellac, and I started putting shellac-based primer on there, and it kept bleeding through the shellac, and I'd put another coat, and it just kept bleeding through the shellac, and then I tried water-based primers, and that didn't work. Eventually, I went to an oil-based primer, and the oil-based primer finally sealed the Sharpie markers on there. But I was running through different ones and from different companies, and I finally used this one oil, fast dry oil, because the longer a primer sits on there, the longer it has the chemicals can activate whatever you're trying to prime, and it gives it more time to bleed to the surface. So I use that fast dry oil primer eventually to seal that. And it was a really, really old video I did a long time ago, so if you go find it on my YouTube channel, it's kind of embarrassing, but it was really old.
It's helpful.
Yeah, it helps. It
I mean, you
explains
figured out through
it's
trial
got,
and
like,
error and
33,000
different
views or something like
different
that.
products, so it's
Yeah, it
definitely
took
helpful.
me it took me quite a while to figure it out throughout the day. It's a little bit frustrating, but eventually I figured it out and shared it out there so everybody else doesn't have to go through all the let's see.
Paul
Corey,
Peck
sorry,
says
my kids Sharpied their walls. What a nightmare. Yeah.
Kills spray can for Sharpies.
And so I say,
Paul
like,
Peck.
so Brandon Moore, like, oil primer is king. So and that's the thing, is you can't get just stuck on one primer, because an oil primers, all around are going to be a good primer, but there's going to be certain things that oil primer will not prime, and it's going to reactivate what you're trying to prime, and it's going to bleed through an oil primer too. So we definitely keep we keep different types of primers, in our vehicles. So we'll Sharpie bleed through spackle, absolutely. 518 painters, it will bleed through spackle.
When do you use a shellac based primer?
So a shellac based primer, we use shellac based primers on a lot of different things. On a like a water based stain, we'll use a shellac based primer. On tannins, on wood tannins, because if you use an oil-based primer, it's going to reactivate the tannins, and the tannins are going to bleed through the wood, so we use a shellac-based primer on that. But here's one really, really key thing where you got to have shellac-based primers and in your arsenal of primer weapons, and this is the only thing that will prime and seal pet odors and smoke odors is shellac, and it has to be a true shellac. So one of our paint stores that we buy paint from, they've created now a synthetic shellac, and I would not use synthetic. It needs to be a true shellac primer, and they have one that's, the label is shellac, and then like Zinsser makes a shellac primer. So for sealing pet odors, so you won't smell them again, you need to use shellac.
So shellac's a good odor.
Yeah. I gotta ask John some questions here, so we gotta have John. John, you give us another winner. We gotta give out.
I have a winner. I have a
Okay.
winner for shirts. For Paint Life shirts.
For a Paint Life shirt.
For a couple Paint Life shirts.
Okay. Oh. So
They're with us tonight, and I know it's early morning for them.
So we're gonna give a
Early
Paint Life
morning.
shirt. I'm gonna send one to the Paint
More than
Tech
one.
Academy. We'll send more than one to Paint Tech Academy.
Paint Tech
They sent-
Academy.
and
we have your address, so you
didn't
don't
we
have to
send
give
that
us
fire
that.
guy a paint shirt? Paint Life shirt? I thought we sent him one.
I don't know.
Gianni.
He's with us. If he doesn't have
Did
one,
we send you
we'll
a
send you
shirt?
one. We'll
So
send you one.
Paint Tech Academy, we're going to send you a t-shirt, so you're a winner of one of our t-shirts. So let's see.
So
we're cruising right along. Got an hour.
We're halfway through the show. We're talking about primers. I'm a pretty simple person, and what I've learned is there's a time
Really?
and place. Yes. There's a time and place to use primers, but when I go to a big box store and if they sell me a primer for every situation, that's not necessarily needed. But there are different primers.
I would think if they're selling you a primer, you need to ask them, why do I need this primer? What's the benefit of this primer? If you're painting your interior walls, why isn't your paint good enough? And what's the primer going to do for me? How's it going to benefit me? And if they can't really give you a good answer, then there's no need to buy it. So that's the thing is people, by the time they're done painting their bedroom, how much money they've spent on paint supplies and stuff can be just absolutely ridiculous. And buying the primers. But once again, also don't, if they try to sell you on the fact that possibly you do need a primer, but they're selling you on the fact that to use a paint and primer all in one paint, please do not believe that, because it's
but you would use a paint that is a paint and primer in one, but you're not using it because they say it could be a good product.
That's a good question. So I use paints like the product we were reviewing. We're probably going to possibly be using that paint on all of our exteriors here in the near future, and it's a paint and primer in one. But I'm not using it because of the primer qualities. We still prime where needed. We don't take that in consideration at all.
Okay.
That's not going to be a primer.
That's not your selling point of
No.
why you're using it. So
No.
there's other things in the paint that make you
Yeah.
want to use this paint.
I think it's like kind of a selling point to the customers. Like, look, we're using this super high quality paint. It's a lifetime warranty. It's a paint and primer one, but we still know, and as professional painters, and hopefully all the professional
not a
painters
cure-all.
out there, you still need to prime. I mean, if you got bare wood, this paint is not. It's gonna be way better, and it's gonna last longer if you use a primer.
Millennium Man says tannin bleeds. What is that?
So tannin bleed, like if you got a piece of wood, like redwood has a lot of tannins in it and stuff, and you paint over redwood, say a white paint, you're gonna get this like brown milky looking stuff bleeding through your white paint, and it's gonna be like streaky and stuff, and that's the tannins leaching out of the wood. Your paint has activated tannins, and the chemicals in the paint are wanting to draw it to the surface, and it draws it up to the surface, stains the paint, and makes it look very unsightly. Put another coat of paint over there, it's going to do the same thing, and we've tested it multiple times. So you have to seal those tannins in, and from our experience, shellac based primers are the very best when it comes to sealing tannins. But here's the key: shellac based primers should only be used for spot priming exteriors. You shouldn't use like to prime a whole exterior. You don't want to prime a whole exterior, but it's good for spot priming. It's really more designed for interiors.
Okay.
So,
Well, I'm gonna step aside and I'm gonna get to type to
what are you
people.
gonna go do?
I'm gonna go type to people. But people did notice that I got a haircut, and I used to have short hair when I was young, and I thought, I'm old, might as well do it, and I don't love it, but that's the great thing about hair,
Yeah,
being
hold
a
on.
female, is
How old
that
are you?
it's hair will grow, except if you're my husband.
You're gonna tell us how
hair
old
will
you
grow.
are?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
Really?
So I love that my hair does still grow, so I risked it. So, anyways, John's
Yeah, we
gonna join you.
We got to give out some products still. We got to give out the
We have some giveaways.
AOM stud finder.
We have
Right there.
a gift card, so stay with us. We have like 3 more
The
giveaways.
multifunction detector, it detects more than just studs, so it's kind of cool.
So
Nice
tell
device.
people about the
we're gonna start talking about exterior primers here.
yes, but while
And go
John
over-
transitions, tell them about Instagram and what you're giving away for that.
Don't forget to if you don't follow us on Instagram, if you don't have an Instagram account or Facebook, we got Facebook right here. We got Instagram right there. If you don't follow us on Instagram, so you can just check out what the heck we're doing and have some fun with us. 10,000 subscribers or followers on Instagram is coming up pretty soon, and we're going to be giving away the Titan. It keeps disappearing. The Titan RX Pro gun. We're going to be giving away that. So you have to be a follower on Instagram. We're going to be giving away to one of our followers. And then we got some stuff from Milwaukee sent to us today. So where's that? We got that. Yeah, we got some really cool stuff from Milwaukee. I got to show you this.
Light?
This light, it's pretty killer. They sent us a light. What else did they send us to test out? These really cool tools. And Gabriel Nunez, super chatter. Gabriel, I wonder. Thanks, Chris, for all the tips over the years. You're welcome, Gabriel. Thank you very much. Check that it's got. They sent us a drill and driver combo, and it's got this one key technology. John will.
We're not letting the helpers touch this one.
Yeah, these that is a really sick drill and
Really
driver
good.
combo. And then they gave us something else. Let's see what else. They sent us a Sawzall. So what the heck this and these things are really expensive. What's that one key stuff all about?
The one key thing is so awesome. It's basically they sync to your phone, and so like with your drills and with your Sawzall, you can sync it with your phone, and you can adjust the speed, and you can tell it what you're cutting into and what bits you're using, so that it doesn't destroy the bit by over revving the drill, or destroy the blade by over revving the Sawzall. And it tracks where your tool's at. So more
that's
Boster Jack tools.
So like for instance, so if you left a tool at a job site,
It'll tell you the last known location where it was at. You
Absolutely.
can go back and track it out.
that's absolutely crazy.
So
and
awesome.
we've lost some DeWalt drills in the past by forgetting where we left them and couldn't remember. Sometimes the customers will call us up and tell us, and then this light, because you know a little bit of the light. I don't know what this light. John said this light was super
These
cool.
lights are so bright. Plus, you can use your phone. You can turn them on and off, and you can link them together. But killer job site lights, and they're cordless. So no more running around with when you're working on interiors in the wintertime and it's dark and you don't have to drag a cord with you, and it's pretty sweet.
So it runs off the same battery as
Runs
the
off
grills.
the same batteries. Super cool.
Can't wait to test them out.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for Milwaukee for sending those things. So we're gonna have some fun playing around with those goodies. So John, we're talking about primers, oil-based, water-based, shellac-based primers. What are some of the primers you have in your van? Water-based primers. You have water-based primers in your van?
Yeah. We carry a bunch of different primers. We always have. Oh geez, let's see. A Dtm Bonding Primer is always in the van. That's a water-based primer.
Oh, so now that you brought that up, Dtm Bonding Primer, we'll talk about metal. It's a good thing. So if you're painting metal, I mean, do you need to prime metal? And so we use a Dtm Bonding Primer for that.
Yeah, it always just kind of depends on the case and where it's at and what it's doing. The whole point of either primer is going to seal or it's going to etch and create a bond for you. The DTM Bonding Primer, we typically use it on like when we're respraying gutters and we want to create a nice etch on those gutters because they get so hot and they get so cold over the course of the year. We need something that's going to help that paint bond to it. Some doors, some other metal things as we go along, but
so we'll talk. So it's a little bit about metal primers and stuff. It's sometimes it's extremely critical to prime metal and stuff. When it comes to exteriors, we talked a little bit about interiors, priming interiors. I'll get back to that a little bit more. Another scenario where you would need a primer on an interior, but today we're working on an exterior. We're painting the house, and did we use a primer anywhere on the house? The house was about probably 10 years old or so.
Yeah, it's in pretty decent shape, but anytime we're prepping the house, we always spot prime with Peel Bond or Prime RX.
Yeah, there's multiple. There are these really thick glue. Mad Dog has one. Duralast, I think. Super thick primers.
Yeah, they help kind of glue. A lot of what we deal with here is composite sidings. So we've got composite sidings. We've got some cement fiber sidings, and then there's not a ton of houses, but probably about 20% of them are just solid actual wood. But the Peel Bond style primers work amazing for helping gluing that blistering back together on those houses. And so because it's basically just glorified cardboard, wood chips and glue, it helps it from kind of furling out and being fuzzy and pulls it all back together and gives you another nice substrate to work with.
And the Peel Bond type primers that we use they're extremely thick. You can just take and grab a glob of it, and it's super thick, and it smooths out the edges of peeling paint. You sand it, and you got those rough edges. You put a nice good thick coat of paint or spray it on, it smooths it out. It fixes and heals up the cracking in paint, like alligator cracking and stuff like that. And there's multiple companies that make them. I mean, there's XIM is excellent. Mad Dog makes one that's excellent. Sherwin-Williams, makes their own product, Prime RX. So there's multiple companies out there that make them, and we stock, typically, one of those in our vehicles. But I would say almost every single house we paint, we use it.
Yeah, just about. It's rare that we have a house that doesn't have somewhere some damage or somewhere where a squirrel went at it that we end up having to kind of glue back together to create just that nice clean.
So is the Peel Bond style primers, are they good for bare wood?
Yeah, absolutely. You can apply them directly to wood.
Love them for blistering. We use them bare wood. You could use them to prime over stucco, concrete stucco that's peeling, chipping, stuff like that. It's a great glue to seal that all up too. Yeah. Did you have something, Lisa? You turned around.
Yeah, I wanted to know, or somebody wanted to know, if you can use a latex primer over oil paint.
Go ahead, John.
A latex primer over
oil.
So if it were me, so I'm assuming we're talking about an interior, likely an interior, I would...
Bonding primer?
Yeah, you could spray some bonding primer. I mean, to be completely safe, I would probably try to degloss it first. Your choices are to sand it or to put a deglosser over it.
Great point.
And so, even with a primer, it's going to etch in there, but just to give yourself the every benefit to make it last and not have issues down the road, we'd have a guy cruise through with some deglosser, then you don't have any dust, anything like that. And then, if it's an oil-based trim and we degloss it, I usually feel pretty safe applying a top coat over that, but sometimes we'll spray, especially some of the edges, with a spray can of bonding primer.
Yeah. Lisa, we're going to give away a $50 gift certificate, so find somebody. We're going to give out Sherwin-Williams $50 gift certificate here in just 1 second. So I wanted, John, we were just talking about deglossers, and so let me hit on that real quick. Some of you may not know what a deglosser is, and we use them all the time. And there's a couple companies. Crud Cutter makes one, M1 makes one, and we keep multiples in our vehicles. And a deglosser is just a liquid, and the ones we use is like a water-based liquid. We put it in water to dilute it, and some of them you dilute them, some you don't. And on, say, a semi-gloss paint on the trim, you're just going to wipe that deglosser on, and in a couple minutes you can go back with your fingernail and you can actually scratch this. It softens the paint.
It softens it up.
And takes the sheen away. You'll look at the sheen, there's not any sheen anymore.
Well, it gives you a substrate now that your latex product will etch to, versus that oil where it's so hard that that latex can't etch to.
Yeah, and some of the deglossers work so well that we just degloss and then we don't even prime.
Yeah.
They work amazing.
Yeah.
And what happens is with deglossers too, if you don't paint within a certain amount of time, the sheen will come back, the paint will harden up again, and so it gives you got to read the instructions, make sure you paint within that certain amount of time. I think it's several days or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Did you find somebody?
I'll tell you in a moment.
Lisa will give us. So we touched on, did I ask you like painting the exterior, the substrate, the siding, and stuff like that?
Yeah, where you put Peel Bond up on that.
Yeah.
Occasionally, we'll have somewhere where someone may have. We'll have issues where there might be wax bleed, or we have issues where sometimes someone will have their barbecue up against the house, and then you get that smoke grease that comes up against the house, and oftentimes there we'll spray some sort of oil primer over the top of that.
Let's while you brought up the word wax bleed, let's talk about that, and then kind of the barbecue thing is the same situation. If you haven't heard of what wax bleed is, if you have, let us know what your experience is. Fire some comments off right here, what you've used to cure it and stuff. But wax bleed is a situation up here on the siding and stuff where they've run too much paraffin wax into the siding, this glorified cardboard siding that they use in all the homes up here in order to make it more weather resistant and stuff. But then because of that, one of the negative effects of that is the wax hydrocarbons are leaching to the top of the siding and causing a bonding issue with the paint. It basically becomes this waxy surface, and now it becomes just like painting like a candle. And so John and I, we've got extensive experience dealing with wax bleed, and I would consider ourselves, like, unfortunately, wax bleed experts. Yeah, but we use a specific primer, and we absolutely hate. Every time we got to break this stuff out, whenever we discover wax bleed, it just drives me crazy because it stinks so bad, and it just gives me a headache for the rest of the day, even though we're using charcoal respirators. But what the heck do we use to prime with?
We use a product. It's a fast dry oil primer. So it's just I think that's actually what it's called, is fast dry oil primer. It is, yeah. And it's always unfortunate when we have to do that.
How fast dry is it?
Depending on the temperature, probably 20 minutes is conservative to say you could top coat after that.
Because I think it says the top coat time is 30 minutes an hour or something like that.
30 minutes to an hour, yeah. I mean, obviously, if you're in some sunlight, it's going to tack up a lot faster. They're giving you some averages depending on temperature. What are you saying about my beard?
Here, I have a winner.
So we got a winner of the $50 gift card. It's really cool. on my Instagram, somebody wanted a gift card, went down, made their purchase, and
Very cool.
and took a picture of
That
what
was
they got
cool.
with the gift card, which
Yeah.
was really, really cool. So,
Yeah.
and then we've had some people that won shirts and they took pictures with the shirt, and I always repost that stuff on my Instagram. So that's really cool. So if you win something, share something. So Millennium Man, you're the winner of the $50 gift card. If you're a winner, make sure you get on here and it's live show at the-idaho-painter.com is the email address to send us your mailing address. And I've got a few emails this week about people that didn't receive their stuff. Be patient where it's getting it out. We just send it regular mail, so it takes a while to get it. If you don't get it in a week and a half or so, fire us an email back. But my daughter's been doing a great job. We give out a crazy amount of stuff here and on Instagram. I've given away t-shirts on Instagram. I think my wife is getting a little bit annoyed about how much stuff I'm giving out, and she says I can't do that no more once McKenna leaves. So this is your chance to win now. Let's see. Talk about we talked about wax bleed, tannin. Talk about can we paint tile and can we paint melamine cabinets? I had somebody today, I think it was on Instagram or something, asked me what they can prime their melamine cabinets with. We got the cabinet spraying expert right here, John, the master with the Hvlp gun, who's painted a ton of cabinets with lacquers and stuff. So tell us your opinion about painting tile and painting melamine cabinets.
Typically, if a customer asks me about doing something like that, we try to discourage it as much as possible. What we'll tell them is we can paint anything, but it may not last as well as they're thinking it may last. So what we would typically do is we'd apply a primer like Extreme Bonding Primer, or I think XIM has a product called Sticks. Products like that we would use to prime, and those have a really high etch capability, and so they'll actually etch into glass or tile, potentially melamine. But it's really definitely not ideal to be painting the melamine, and so we would tell them, we can do it and we can go this route, but we can never guarantee that it would last as long as if it were a surface that we would typically paint.
Lisa, we haven't given away the rollers yet, right?
Oh no, we haven't.
We're going to be giving away 4 of these.
Oh, we're getting close.
Corner rollers. So these things are pretty dang cool. So I'm going to give away 4 of these to one person. So give me a name for that. We still get a.
People are asking rust on metal. Have you?
Yeah, we'll talk about that real quick because we got to give away that, and we still got to give away the stud finder. So, were you done talking about that?
Yeah, sure.
So, rust on metal. That's a very good point. There's if you're dealing with rust when you're we paint iron fences and stuff like that. We spray them with an Hvlp sprayer with some products and stuff, and you're going to get, like on the bottom and stuff, you're going to get rust. It's always best to remove the rust completely, 100%, whether that's grinding, whether it's using a wire brush, whether it's sandblasting, vapor blasting. You really should get the rust completely off, and then you can you should prime it with a rust inhibited primer. Now, and it has to be a rust inhibited primer. So our local paint store has specific primers for that, and that will inhibit the rust that started right there from coming back. And so that's the best way to go about it. If it's I think that Royal Jelly makes a product you wipe on there and stuff, and it like eats away at the rust.
Navel jelly?
Navel jelly. Yeah, remember that stuff?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's great. Navel jelly is an interesting product and stuff that you can brush onto the rust and stuff, but you really should get it off. You can. It's not. I mean, if you can't just get it all off, you'll spray in and just really putting a nice good coat of that rust inhibited primer on is the best route to go, and then paint it with a good quality like DTM direct to metal paint. What do you like? What do you like for painting metal?
Lately, we've been using, if we're doing like a picket fence, we've been using multi-surface acrylic from Sherwin-Williams.
You really like that?
I've really liked that. I haven't run into much as far as issues on it. It's always hard to say when you start using a new product because what's it going to look like in 10 years? But so far, I'm liking what I'm seeing.
How does a multi-surface acrylic spray through an Hvlp sprayer?
We through an HVLP we dilute it. I want to say around 12.5%, give or take. I think that's typically where we start, and then I don't think we typically have to dilute it much more with that. We would dilute it with extender.
Yeah. Check this out. We got Big Daddy says you can get navel jelly at your auto parts store.
Nice.
I remember that stuff when I was a kid. And then 518 Painter says treat rust with phosphoric acid. That's pretty interesting. Matt Romeo, Boise, pick me. Super Woody Boy, iron oxide oil primer. That's interesting. Let's see, Jesse Rivera, rust on metal, let me save you a trip. Go to the auto body store, buy a metal neutralizer, brush it on the rust, then prime it. Buy a metal neutralizer. That's interesting. That was from Jesus Rivera. Interesting tip. Auto parts store
navel jelly,
might be. I think it's probably what navel jelly is a neutralizer. Cool. We got some super chats from Leslie Hooper, the Family Man, Gabriel Nunez, Angel Guzman, and Andrew Slovak. Thank you very much for the super chats. Leslie asked about the women's shirts. I have ordered them, and hopefully we'll be getting them soon. You're on the list to get one, so we'll send you one.
You got to get close to wrapping, and it sounds like this topic is going to have to be continued because
really
it's super important and huge. And so you need to do,
let's talk about vinyl siding. A lot of people ask me, can you paint vinyl siding, and then do you have to prime vinyl siding? So up here, we do see vinyl siding. We've painted a lot of vinyl siding, and I would say I've never primed vinyl siding. Did you give us a winner this for Lisa? Because I need two winners, one for the roller and one for the stud finder. So painting vinyl siding, I know you'll run into situations where it's really chalky and stuff, and how do you deal with the chalkiness, and are the paints that we use for our houses, our everyday exterior paints, can you put them on vinyl siding?
Yeah, you can put the paints, any high quality 100% acrylic paint you can apply onto vinyl siding. Obviously you want to make sure it's vinyl safe color so you're not warping the vinyl. If there's a lot of oxidization, we would power wash, and if we need to, we would scrub it off. But beyond that, we've never really needed a primer. It seems that we get a perfectly fine bond. That said, it's not like we are painting brand new vinyl.
Right.
Usually it's several years old, it's weathered, it's oxidized a little bit, and so it's got kind of a nice etched surface for us already.
And if it's really chalky, really oxidized, instead of a primer, I've in the past put Emulsibond in the paint. Emulsibond is designed for chalky surface to help the paint bond a little bit more. So when it comes to, I want to talk about the primers. I was going to hit on this in the very beginning, but I forgot. But you got crayons. Can you what do you prime over crayons? You got food stains on the wall. What would you use for that? What would you use for a Sharpie? What would you use for a dry erase marker? So you got all these interesting different things to prime, and here's a simple rule of thumb. You want to, if what you're trying to prime over, you try to determine what it's made of, what the main ingredient is, or the carrier is. For instance, like a Sharpie marker, it's like kind of like alcohol based. So you want to prime with just the opposite of what it is. So if it's a crayon, like a crayon is an oil based product, so you don't want to use an oil based primer over a crayon. I would use something that's the opposite or different, like a water based or shellac based, something that's not going to reactivate it. Because typically it's like if the food stain is a water based food, some type of product that's on the wall, by putting a water based primer on it, it's just going to reactivate what's there, and then it's going to bleed through your primer and then just bleed through your top coat again. So if it was grease stains that are on the wall from grease splattering on the wall, the grease is oil-based, you'd probably want to use like a shellac-based primer. So try to determine, what it is that you're trying to prime over, and try to find something that's just opposite when it comes to primers. That's why there's not just one, like cure-all primer. So just having just an oil-based primer isn't necessarily the same. In our vans we keep shellac based, oil based, and water based, and like our oil based primers are typically spray cans of oil based. I hate dealing with oil based paints, just period, paints and primers. But
yeah, we have latex spray cans. They're water based, kind of water based. They're kind of a weird thing in between it, but bonding primers, pigmented shellac primers, oil based primers. And then there's, like he said, the DTM bonding primers and some of the other just more specifically or more generally geared bonding primers also.
I do have 2 videos I just did recently reviewing a couple primers, and one where a shed was just completely just cracking, peeling. It was an absolute mess. You'd walk up to the shed and you just think, you got to rip this thing all apart. You got to just put new siding on it and stuff. And we went over it with one of these peel bond type primers. It was a product from Mad Dog. I did a review of it and it worked amazing. That shed looked, after we painted it, it was amazing. It's going to last for years and years, and using a primer is going to help your top coat last a lot longer too, and just give a really good bite for your top coat.
So we have 2 more things that are winning, correct?
Yeah.
So I have this guy referred his friend.
Whoa.
And his friend said, you should pick my friend because he referred me to your live show. So I thought the 2 of them should each get something.
All right. So we got Matthew. Is that River? I cannot
Rower,
read.
R-O-W-E-R.
Are you kidding me? You
Yeah,
expect me
no,
to
not
read
kidding
that?
you. Not kidding you.
Is it Rower?
Yes,
R-O-
R-O-W-E-R.
Matthew Rower and David Evans. So you guys can select. We'll send it one package. We're gonna give us
You guys can fight over it.
the stud finder and 4 of the rollers. We got 4 of these rollers, so you guys are gonna get these rollers are pretty dang cool. One thing about the rollers is kind of interesting. They've corrected the problem, but the initial run of these rollers, the lengths come out pretty bad. But if you take and hit them with a hose, spin them with a hose real fast, or the first roll of paint, it's going to take those lengths off. They said they've corrected it now, but it's a really, really cool concept and stuff. It's Corner Roller Plus. They had I can't remember what that website was. Was it Corner Roller? I think it was cornerroller.com.
Yeah.
It was
It
on
said
the bottom.
Instagram shut down because it went over the hour.
Oh boy.
Yeah, you went over that time. So it's
Yeah,
time
and
to wrap.
We got to wrap the show up. Hopefully, you got to go check out those videos. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram to get a giveaway the RX Pro gun to one of our Instagram followers. On Facebook and Instagram, we do give out T-shirts. I go there randomly, give them out to people that share really cool pictures and stuff like that. So follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Facebook is The Idaho Painter. Instagram is Idaho Painters. If you don't have them, get them. And then go check out my webpage, theidahopainter.com, where you can get our really cool shirts and hats. This John is actually sporting one of the
It's like limited edition.
yeah, I haven't even rolled that one out. That's like one of a couple of them I just put out that we're not using yet, but kind of cool. So what else do we got to say, Lisa? Don't forget, ring the little notification bell. Subscribe to our channel, ring the notification bell. You'll get notified when we go live.
And I just thank you for being part of this community because we want it to be a safe place where we could all learn and be better at our trade and
the
more
numbers.
satisfaction.
The numbers are growing like pretty fast on the live show. We got Facebook right here. We got Instagram right there that just ended, but it's growing pretty fast. It's really hard for us to answer questions, while we're talking on a topic. But I think here come up, maybe the next show we'll just spend just answering your specific questions. And I like doing those shows where we can just start, just go right down the line. And John and I will be able to just bam, 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 just start answering questions. That way you can get your specific questions answered. We try to answer them a few tonight, but we wanted to just talk about primers. Anything you got to add when it comes to primers? Anything we missed?
Just be open-minded. Carry several primers with you, and think about what you're working with and what the end goal is.
Yeah, be wary of what the some of the sales people are trying to sell you that you don't need. So it's just a waste of money if you're priming when you don't need to prime. So
there is no Swiss Army knife of primers. You gotta think about the different kinds and the different goal you're trying to get to.
Yeah, so looks like the numbers were pretty good tonight. So we're going to be heading out. It's 8:02.
Better than that, but that's okay.
Really? No, it says 8:02.
No. You're
So we're going to hit the stop streaming here, and we'll close out on Facebook and Instagram. Once again, thank you guys very much for being on the show. We'll see you on our next show. Out.